The night had been too quiet. Ethan lay awake, listening to the faint sound of rain tapping against the window, and for the first time in years, he noticed something unsettling about the silence beside him. Lily's breathing was steady, her body still, yet there was a heaviness in the air that made his chest tighten. She always seemed peaceful when she slept, but that peace had begun to feel unnatural, as though it wasn't rest at all, just a mask she wore even in dreams. When they met years ago, he had fallen in love with that stillness. It was the very thing that set her apart from the chaos of the world. Lily never rushed, never raised her voice, never clung to petty arguments. She carried herself with the kind of quiet that made people stop and watch. Ethan, whose own life had been noisy and restless, found himself craving her calm like a man craving air. He remembered the first time he saw her outside the train station, rain soaking her dress, umbrella tilted uselessly to one side. Everyone else scurried, heads down, muttering curses at the storm. But Lily stood there as though she belonged to another world entirely. The city's clamor didn't touch her. Ethan had offered to share his umbrella, and she had given him a small, grateful smile that pierced straight through his heart. That smile became his anchor. Within months they were inseparable, and not long after, they married in a small ceremony that felt intimate, almost sacred. She introduced him to her faith, the soft chanting at dawn, the glow of candles, the sweet scent of incense. Ethan never fully understood the depth of her devotion, but he admired it. He thought he knew her, yet as the years passed, little cracks began to show. Lily avoided certain conversations. She never spoke of her life before they met, brushing away questions with a gentle laugh. She had no photographs of her childhood, no mementos of family. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, Ethan would wake to find her sitting alone in the living room, a single candle burning, her eyes fixed on the flame as if searching for something he couldn't see. The first time he asked, she whispered, "Meditation calms me." He wanted to believe it, but the way her hands shook when she blew out the candle haunted him. It wasn't until the evening he searched her drawer for a charger that everything began to unravel. He hadn't meant to invade her space. But the charger wasn't where he usually left it, and Lily wasn't home. When he pulled the drawer open, his hand brushed against something firm, hidden beneath scarves. An envelope. The words on the front stopped him cold. For when the truth cannot stay hidden anymore, his fingers trembled as he opened it. Inside lay a faded photograph of a little boy, maybe 6 years old, with wide dark eyes that mirrored Lily's. Tucked beside it was a hospital bracelet. Her name was printed clearly on the tag, dated almost a decade earlier, long before Ethan met her. Beneath those was something stranger still, a newspaper clipping yellowed with age. Child's death under investigation. The article was brief, almost evasive. A boy named Aaron, son of businessman Daniel Cross, had been found lifeless under what authorities described as unclear circumstances. No charges had been filed. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. His wife had never spoken of a child. Never once. He shoved the envelope back into the drawer just as he heard the front door open. That night he could barely meet her eyes. And when morning came, he asked her with as much calm as he could muster, "Lily, who is Aaron?" Her teacup slipped from her hand, shattering on the table. Her face turned ashen, and for a long moment she didn't speak. Then, her voice barely above a whisper, she said, "I prayed this day would never come." Ethan's chest tightened. "Tell me. Please." Tears welled in her eyes as she drew in a shaking breath. "Before you, I was married once. It was a different life, one I buried deep. My husband, Daniel, was not the man he pretended to be. Controlling, cold. Yet I stayed. And in that marriage, I had a son. His name was Aaron." Ethan's throat felt dry. The article said, she broke down before he could finish. He became sick. So quickly. The doctors could not save him. I buried my boy alone. No family came, no friends. Daniel made sure the world knew nothing. He wanted it quiet, as though Aaron had never existed. I carried the grief in silence, hiding it in prayer. Ethan's heart ached for her. He gathered her trembling hands into his own. But the memory of that newspaper clipping gnawed at him. The words "under investigation" would not let him rest. Days later, when Lily had gone to the temple, Ethan returned to the drawer. He searched deeper, and this time found another folder, hidden beneath the false bottom. Inside were documents Lily had clearly never wanted to see again, copies of police files, photographs, and a coroner's report. The report chilled him. Cause of death, undetermined. Inconsistent evidence. Suspicion of interference. Case closed prematurely. One line at the bottom struck him hardest: child's body never released to mother. Claimed by father, Ethan's blood ran cold. Lily had never held her son one last time. A deeper fear settled in his gut. What if Aaron hadn't died at all? What if Daniel had orchestrated everything? That night, Ethan confronted her gently. "Lily, did you ever see him?" After. Her eyes widened, and fresh tears filled them. She shook her head. "Daniel wouldn't let me. He said it was better that way. He said I needed to move on." Ethan whispered, "And you believed him?" Her silence was the loudest answer he had ever heard. The days that followed consumed him. He began to dig. Late nights in front of his laptop, chasing records, searching archives. What he uncovered was more disturbing than he imagined. Daniel Cross had powerful connections. Several business partners had been investigated for illegal dealings but never charged. And in one obscure online forum, Ethan found an old thread mentioning whispers about Cross's family secrets. Children. Experiments. Disappearances. The words made Ethan's stomach turn. He knew he had to be careful, but the more he learned, the deeper the darkness grew. And one night, scrolling through scanned records, he froze: a school admission list from a small town 3 states away. The name Aaron Cross was scribbled on it, age 7, enrolled 2 years after the supposed death. Ethan stared at the screen, his heart hammering. When he showed Lily, her knees buckled. She clutched the photo of her son, her tears unstoppable. "You're saying my baby might still be alive?" Her voice cracked with a mixture of hope and terror. Ethan wrapped his arms around her trembling body. "We can't ignore this. We have to find out." Together, they followed the faint trail. A lead to the school. Records scrubbed clean. Teachers who refused to talk. Every step closer to truth felt like stepping into shadow, and then, one evening, as Ethan sifted through another stack of papers, he found a sealed envelope slipped beneath their front door. No name, no address. Inside was a single photograph. It showed a boy standing outside a monastery gate, older now, maybe 12. His eyes were unmistakable. Lily's eyes. Aaron's eyes, but scrawled on the back were 4 chilling words: "Stop searching." His hours. Lily dropped the photograph as though it burned her fingers. Ethan felt his blood turn to ice. The silence between them was heavy, filled with fear and 1,000 questions neither dared ask. Somewhere in the world, Aaron was alive. And someone powerful was keeping him hidden. The truth Lily had buried was not just grief, it was a doorway into something darker than either of them had ever imagined. And now, the door had swung wide open.